Hey, that's JBBrickFanatic here. This is a freeform mock that I put together in under 24 hours. I'll show some cool outdoor pictures at the end of this video, but for right now, I kind of want to show you what I did to create this. I want to show you some of the different techniques, some of the different hidden details that you might not notice, and yeah, I mean, let's just get right into it. So here you have up on screen, this is how I started. I just started putting together some plates to make it 2 plates thick. This is just the start of how I made the freeform, and then what I did was I put a bunch of the snot bricks. They were just the standard bricks with the studs on the side. And if you didn't know, 5 plates stacked on top of each other actually equals the height of a 2 wide brick or plate. Let me demonstrate that here. Basically, to make a freeform in this way, you kind of just have to play around with the different techniques and shapes. Make the shape that you're starting off with very general, and again, you're going to have it 2 plates thick just like this. And then you're going to put one of these. This is a snot brick. This is a 1x4 brick that's modified, that's got it on there. But basically all you have to do is just make an outline. You know, it doesn't really matter. It's the better it is, I think, is the more random it is. So just like this, that sort of thing. And then what you got to do is just put this onto here. And then, if you didn't know this, because these are 3 and this is 2, that equals 5 of these plates thick. That is the exact same height as this here. Let me push this down just a little bit more, but there you go. As you can see, this is the same height, so it sits flush with the ground. And that's how I was able to create all these different shapes in here. Now this is just standard stud construction on, like studs on studs construction there. But then if you get into the gritty details behind here, let me see if I can't remove some of this. As you can see here, this is the exact same thing that I just showed you. There's just 2 plates and then one of these bricks, and then this is just one of these assemblies that I put together. Again, studs up, it would look like this, and then I have even some more snot on this side. So it's just kind of a lot of trial and error and getting different things to work. You just stick that right on there, and then you can put these different bricks back. And there you go. It looks super flush, super clean. You can't even really tell that it's there. So if you're building freeform, I would say this is the best way to do it. You can make it any size you want. You can make it any, like, you know, just shape and just anything. It's freeform. That's the beauty of it. You can make it look however you want. This general shape went together pretty quickly. I kind of just threw everything together. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Screw it. I'm just gonna make a freeform mock, and I am going to finally make one. So I just threw all this together, and then I built it again within 24 hours. Probably total build time was maybe around 4 or 5 hours, and then everything else just kind of came together really easily. I had a ton of these. These are the 1x2 or the 2x2 in olive, and they like the weird shape. I had these at the pick-a-brick wall in Europe. I think it was probably a France pick-a-brick wall that had them, so I filled up a couple cups of that just so I had enough to go on. And yeah, I mean, that's just basically how you do freeform. You want to make sure that you get the colors right. So before you start the freeform, or as you're doing it, I would choose a color palette. I chose dark tan, as you can see, for the path, and then the olive green, also just the light and dark bluish gray, dark green, and then the pink flowers, as well as the water. So I kind of just chose a color palette that worked. So different things, I wouldn't recommend mixing like olive with lime green. However, in some cases you can. Again, it's all up to you. There's no wrong way to do it, but just as you're building it and as you're trying to figure it out, you can kind of just make it up as you go, I guess. That's basically what I did for this one, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. Taking the camera off the tripod there, you can see there's a bunch of little details that I did include. I think the most hidden detail here that you might not have noticed is this little fountain here is actually a horse that's kind of in there. So I kind of took inspiration from a few older and ancient like works that you can see in Europe that I just kind of put together. I thought I wanted to make a horse little fountain, and you can see the water's kind of spewing out through the backside there, and I think it works out really nicely. It's kind of just a hidden thing. I had to point it out to everybody that I showed this to. I was like, look at, did you see the horse? And they're like, what horse? And it's just so well hidden in there that I think that's really neat. The other focal point of this is going to be the tree. Now, this tree again came together relatively quickly. I just had a bunch of this dark brown slope brick. Let me brighten it up in there so you can just see how that was kind of built. I had a super Erling, which is the 1x1 brick with these studs on the side. That's this brick here. Let me show you. I had a bunch of these bricks Come on, light, there you go. So I had a bunch of these, or just one of these bricks right in the center there, and this tree is very fragile, as you can see. But with that back on, you can just, I mean, again, I just kind of made this up as I go. At first I had just the olive green leaves, and then I was like, you know what, let's see if I can make it a weeping willow-esque tree. So I added these upside down seaweed pieces, they put them there, and then I was like, you know what, let's make it even better. Let me put some bright pink flowers that I had on it, and I think it works really well. The bright pink definitely pops with the rest of the look of this. And then I also filled the entire basin with those flowers because it adds something, like, it just makes it look, I guess, a little bit like the flowers are falling off. Maybe this is the end of the season where the flowers have finished blooming, but that also allowed me to just fill that up without adding any other bricks on the inside, because it's really hard to get, one, the roots in there, but also to have it flush with the entire round of, you know, these round bricks here. So I think I did a really good job with filling that in, also around these sides here. Now, if you can look in here, one of the things that I am wishing I could change is underneath there, I have a dark, or a bright green plate as the base. You can't really see it at angles like this, but if you're looking down and in there, you can really see it. If I could change anything, I would go back through and maybe make that either black or brown, dark green, that sort of thing. If I could, I'd make it olive, but I was able to achieve just this, getting this round by putting these pieces loose in here, just kind of sitting in there, and then I filled in the gaps with the flower petals. And again, that was a really neat technique that I kind of just thought of to do, because that ended up closing off all the gaps. It made the rainbow colors underneath less visible to see, and I think it worked out really, really well. Now, something you'll notice is that all of these pieces are offset, and that is because it is actually offset. If you didn't know, you can place these guys, instead of putting them, you know, on top of each other, you can actually place them like one off just a little bit, just like so, and then it actually lines up, and it gives a little bit of a gap, and it makes a little bit of overlap, and see the gaps in there, and I think it just makes it look all that more, I don't know, unique and rustic and ruined and that sort of thing. Now, these do fall off, which is why I don't really touch it all that much. Let me put this back on. Shouldn't be too difficult. It's very fragile again, and then in here, this is just connected by one stud, but it doesn't fall around if you shake it like that. This bush was achieved just by stacking a bunch of these on top of each other very, very loosely. As you can see, they're kind of bent and all that. I bent this one in, and then this is just kind of sticking right on top of there, because they are attached and they won't fall off. And I think that gives it just a really natural and overgrown kind of look. Something with the water is I put a bunch of these are the regular blue trans clear tiles that I put on here, and underneath is black plates, and then under here are regular blue plates, and I did that to kind of give the illusion of quicker running water. Again, if I had the choice to do this again, I would probably put the blue maybe every now and again to make it look like it's going instead of one hard line, because it would just make it look a little bit more flowy. But I think I did a good job here, and then I have some of the trans blue plates that allow it to be flush with the floor, and I think that just adds a little bit more. I was debating whether or not to put a building in this mock, but I'm glad I decided not to, and I went with the fountain and the tree here in the stand with the little river. Something else to note for design choices is you can see all these little stems and these grass stems I did put around here, because I was trying to think of where I would put them. I didn't have enough to fill the entire mock with them. These are literally the only 6 that I have, or 5. Yeah, there's 6 there that I have, and those are the only ones that I do own. So I put them around here because, you know, you think water, and that probably gives more life, and that gives more, you know, like swampy-esque sort of things. So that's kind of how I did that there. And then these random rocks are used in a good effect, and they just fill up empty space. So there's no, I didn't have any olive green that would fill that, so I just, you know what, let's put a rock there. Why not? Same thing with this. This is a pretty cool rock that just kind of juts out like so, and then I did the same thing over here, and I think that works. I think it works nicely to have the different rocks. Woo! I think it works nicely to have the different rock colors in different chunks. So I have like one big rock here in the light gray, another big rock there in the light gray, and then the dark gray rock is the one near the water. Maybe this is a bigger rock to a bigger mountain. I don't know. It's kind of up to your imagination. But again, I'm just really happy with the way that this thing turned out. It is able to be picked up. As you can see, you can pick it up. Let me show you the underside. This is what it does look like underneath. And it's a pretty sturdy mock. It's very stable. It's not going to really fall apart. The only thing that does fall apart are maybe these small little attachments on the sides like that. One thing that I haven't talked about yet is the lioness that I did put in here. And I kind of did that because I didn't want to have any minifigures in it, because I didn't have any time to build any like custom figures that might fit this setting. And I had this lioness from the brand new, this is the jungle set that I got for early review, and then I just kind of put her in there just to have her stalking, you know, through the path. It kind of just adds that little bit of mysticism and the tranquility of this MOC, and I think it turned out really, really nicely. But I think I've talked about the MOC enough. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I would love to hear your opinions, and if you think I did a good job with this as my first freeform, if you guys learned any tips from this, I really hope that you'll let me know in the comments below. I really enjoyed making this, and I hope you enjoyed seeing it. I will be doing a bunch more freeforms like this in the future once I source up enough parts. I don't know if I'll take this one apart. I mean, I probably will, but it being my first freeform, it might be cool to take to a convention at some point. There aren't any conventions anytime soon. I think Chicago might be the closest one coming up for me in my area. But that's going to wrap it up. If you guys do want to see more stuff like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'd certainly appreciate it. Again, leave a like down below if you did enjoy, and I will see you in the next one.